We are live. It's Wednesday, and that only means one thing. The DFS OG's back in the house. I am your host, Beer, as always, joined by my boys, HeadChopper and Notorious, breaking down everything in the sports world, presented by our friends over at FanDuel. Make sure you guys are going over there and checking out all the offerings, not only the DFS lobby, sportsbook, casino, tons of stuff over at FanDuel. But let me bring in my boys here, and we'll get the show started for this week, give you the breakdown of what we're going to talk about. No, let's go over to you. We'll save Chop for last. Chop had an eventful night the other night, so we'll save him here. But Noto, how's things? Welcome in, buddy.
Oh, things are good. I'm enjoying a very slow summer. No more NBA. Baseball is finally ramping up my DFS action, so hoping to get that going over the next couple of months. And yeah, I'm excited for football. I've been liking the Olympics more than most, it sounds like. Sounds like Chop isn't a big Olympics guy. But yeah, I like the Olympics every 4 years, get some random events, cheer for the country, and all that good stuff. So yeah, how you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm more in Chop's camp. The Olympics have never been very exciting to me. You know, even the basketball, sure, was fun to watch America win by 100 points back in the day, and now they're losing to France and just not a huge Olympics guy. So not anti-American by far. I mean, just Olympics have never done it for me. But let's get to the man of the hour. Now, you got to know something about Chop. The most humble guy I think I've ever met. The guy goes out and wins hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and you never even know it. Had a big night the other night. I know he doesn't want this big ticker tape parade, but Chop, we have to say a public congrats to you, buddy. Huge night the other night. So welcome in and congrats on the big night.
Well, I appreciate it. It was I had to stay up past my bedtime, and I paid for it the next day. But you know, all good, man. It really like I was telling Noto before the show. Hey, man, now I don't have to deposit anything going into football because I'm pretty stocked now.
There you go. Nice to start flush going into football. We're about 5-6 weeks out from football, so. The plan for today, as always, we're going to kind of bounce around, but we really want to talk to you. This show is live, so if you guys have questions, shoot them. We want to talk to the people. We want to answer some questions. So whether it's sports, it's life, whatever you guys want to ask, get in one of these comment sections here on YouTube or right here directly on the show, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. We are going to cover some NFL news. Obviously, that is starting to kick off. Training camps well underway. We'll address the MLB Trade Deadline coming up, some of the bigger names that may be on the move. We'll get some of Derek's picks. We got some, speaking of Olympics, we do have golf that we can play, and FanDuel's got some nice contests in the lobby. And we're going to introduce a new segment, something we'll talk about it later, but something that we miss as we get older. We'll have Derek introduce that, but just, becoming old men. So we want to harken back some things that we missed from our younger years. So should be a fun show. Again, want it to be a very interactive show. So please don't hesitate to reach out. So guys, let's start with baseball. We got the trade deadline right around the corner. Teams obviously are making that call right now. Are we going on a run here? Can we add something to push us over the top? Are we sellers? Are we just looking to the future, trying to accumulate younger players, draft picks, whatever it may be? So Derek, let's throw it over to you here. Just want to hit on some of the bigger names that may be on the move here, some of the implications with real-life baseball, with DFS, whatever you want to hit on here. Thoughts on the MLB Trade Deadline coming up soon?
Yeah, I think the two biggest situations to monitor, Max Scherzer, he sounds like he's going to waive his no-trade clause, and a lot of teams are obviously interested in him. It sounds like the three front runners at the moment, Padres, Dodgers, and Giants, we kind of talked about all of them on potential, World Series outright bets a couple of weeks ago, and all in the same division. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. He does say he wants to go out west somewhere. And then the Cubs are kind of having a fire sale. Kind of sounds like they're just pulling the plug on the season. Jock Peterson's already gone. Chris Bryant expected to get moved. Craig Kimbrell, one of the better closers in baseball, as well. And then, even Javi Baez, Anthony Rizzo have been included in some of the trade talks. So those are some big bats. The Brewers also looking to add a couple bats. They've been involved in some Josh Donaldson, Trevor Story rumors. They currently lead the NL Central by 7 games. So if they could add some offense, I think that'll be interesting. And the one trade that has gone down, the big name Starling Marte has been traded to the A's, so that'll help their chances. They're trailing the Astros by 6 games, but currently in the spot for a wild card.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of the names. Obviously, Scherzer, the big headliner here, and he instantly makes somebody the favorite. You know, and if he goes to the Dodgers, I mean, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at that point, in which you'll get much better odds on some of the other teams. So he's going to go somewhere, they're going to instantly become the favorite to win everything. So just keep an eye on that. If you got a team you like, I know Chop's an Astros guy, so maybe he gets a better number on Houston if Scherzer doesn't end up there. So, Chop, anything to add there? Anything you're keeping an eye on here as the trade deadline looms?
I'm keeping an eye on all of it. Now, I was a little bit disappointed to see Marte go to the A's. I thought the Astros had a shot at him, so I was disappointed there. But that's okay. I think there's something else in the works for the Astros. Max is the name. I was chatting with a guy the other day, and he was saying, "Boy, if the Astros get Mad Max," I came back with, I don't want Max Scherzer. I don't want to pay that price on Scherzer. He's like a rental. He's up there in age. He may help you this year. He probably would, but I don't think I want to pay the price for him if I'm an Astros fan. So I'm okay with not having Scherzer on my team for that price tag. Plus, like Derek said, those 3 West Coast teams out there, the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, are all going to bid him up so far, trying to outbid each other, that I don't want any piece of that. So, and it sounds like Kimbrel's going to be too expensive, so maybe somebody will take a shot there. We'll see what happens. I think you can find good relief guys out there that are under the radar, that you don't know that much about. You can get them for a lot cheaper. So, yeah, I think there will be a fire sale in Chicago, and I think teams like the Yankees or Red Sox are going to panic, and they're going to start throwing way too much to get like guys back like Trevor Story and these veterans who are going to be on the move. And I just think a lot of teams are going to overpay. It's going to be interesting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of looking at some of the standings, you still have Boston and Tampa Bay basically battling it out for the East. So the Yankees kind of sitting in that tough spot, like you mentioned. They're 9 games back, but 5 games over 500. So they're still very much in it. Toronto in that same boat. So 4 teams above 500 in that division. White Sox kind of pulling away in the Central League. Cleveland by 9.5 there. You mentioned Oakland, Derek. Seattle kind of creeping up as well, 6 and 7 games back from the Astros. The NL East still pretty tight. Mets, Phillies, Braves, all pretty much in it, right around 500 for the Phillies and Braves. So they could be active here. Derek, you brought up my Brewers. Exactly what I need them to do is go get some bats. I love the pitching, the starting pitching especially. Love the bullpen, but that lineup, sometimes they spit that lineup out, and it does not scream to be World Series contender. So if they could go get somebody, I'm good with that. And then you mentioned the West, still a jumble. Giants, Dodgers, Padres, all still in the mix there within 5.5 games. So should be very, very interesting as this trade deadline approaches. And Chop, you said it. Teams are going to start panicking, and some of these big market teams are going to spend some money. So should be pretty active here over the next couple days. So anything else baseball wise you guys want to hit on? Any other trade rumors you're seeing, or are we ready to move on? Let's move on to some golf next. Any other baseball topics before we move on, guys?
I think we got it covered.
All right, golf, Olympic golf, Derek. So I kind of poo-pooed the Olympics. It sounds like you and Chop were talking earlier, and he's in the same camp here. But you have to enjoy that there's golf here, that at least we can play some DFS. So give us our thoughts on the event, what it looks like, course, and then some specific plays or bets that you're looking at here on FanDuel for this event.
Yeah, so if you're new to DFS golf, it's only 60 golfers this week. There's not going to be a cut, so you're not going to be yelling at your lineups after Friday's round. And it's going to start tonight at 6:30 Eastern time. So make sure you lock your lineups before you sit down for dinner tonight, because we get some primetime golf. So that's going to be fun. The course looks pretty sweet there in Japan. I'm excited for it. It is a pretty long course. So if you want to target some bombers, I certainly don't mind that route. We don't exactly know how the course is going to play since we've never seen it, on the PGA Tour. But guys that are aggressive with their irons, guys that are, really good off the tee, I think that's the approach you want to take, guys that make a lot of birdies. So, there's a lot of different routes you can take. Obviously, the big story is going to be the 2 South Koreans, Sung Jae Im and Si Woo Kim. They're getting all the love this week. because if they medal, they don't have to serve their 2-year military service for South Korea. So,
wow.
So they got all the narratives going for them. If they come forth, they have to, 2 years. And we've seen a lot of golfers do that and just haven't been the same after serving that military service. So I'm kind of looking to them. Siwoo Kim is about 20-1 right now, and Sungjae is about 18. Siwoo is about 50-1. So if you want to look at them outright, you can also bet on them just to win a medal, which is kind of cool. My favorite at the very top, I'd probably go Justin Thomas. He's kind of been the king of no-cut events. It doesn't look like he's going to get as much ownership as some of the other guys up there in terms of DFS. And then long shots I like, Matthias Schwab over 100-1. I like Mito Pereira over 100-1. And yeah, overall, I think it's going to be fun. Motivation's hard to kind of gauge during this. I mean, we even had one guy change his citizenship just so he can get into the field. That's Rory Sabatini. And then you have Rory McIlroy, who's kind of like, I'm not very patriotic. I'm just here because I think I should be. So yeah, it'll be interesting. If anybody has any questions, just hit me up on Twitter. I'll be here for the next 5 hours to answer any questions.
There you go. And this event is coming up pretty quick. So first thing, I have a question, and this is definitely a noob type question, but this is Olympics. So is there gold, silver, bronze based on the top 3 in the finish, I'm assuming?
Yep, and no ties. At the start of the week, we were all under the assumption that if you tied for third, you all got a medal. So we were kind of all hoping for the South Koreans to finish in the tie for third. But there will be a playoff if that happens. But yes, gold, silver, and bronze.
All right, make sure you guys get over to FanDuel here, and I would do it pretty quickly. They have a $3 tournament, $3,000 to first on that, but running out of room there, about 1,500 spots available. There's a monster, 25,000 to first, 555 buy-in on that, about 25 spots left on that, and then there's a $7.77. So there's a lot of room left in that one. Looks like maybe they just threw that one up here. So plenty of ways to get in and play some golf. Chop, any thoughts on the golf? Any bets here in the FanDuel Sportsbook you're seeing? And thoughts on the Olympics? I kind of get my 2 cents here. I want to see where you're at with the Olympics.
No bets for me. Yeah, I haven't watched, but maybe like 2 minutes of the Olympics so far. I'm just not a big Olympics guy. I'll watch track and field here when it comes on because that's really interesting to watch the really fast guys. But other than that, there's just too many little niche sports that just don't do it for me. So I'll watch basketball, and I'm kind of glad the USA is struggling in basketball. It wasn't any fun when they're beating everybody by 40 or 50. So this adds a little bit more drama to it to watch them kind of, sweat a little bit. I still think they'll win. So it's fun, but no, I'm not a huge Olympics guy. So you don't want no bets from me.
Now there was some talk. There's this 3-on-3 basketball. Derek, have you watched any of this? And they're basically saying, if NBA guys played in this 3-on-3, don't think they're just going to walk in here and mop the floor with everybody. So thoughts on that? Because to me that seemed a little crazy. If Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Giannis show up in a 3-on-3, that's I'm laying all the money on that threesome against anyone that's playing in this competition. So. How is that looking? Is there anybody we know in that? I have not watched it. Is there any names, or is it just 3-on-3 teams that have been assembled throughout the year? Fill us in on that. How's that work?
Yeah, I've been watching a little bit of it. Apparently, the number 1 ranked 3-on-3 player plays for Serbia. I think they ended up losing in the final. But yeah, America didn't even make it to the top 4. I don't think in that, but it's interesting, man. Right when the opponent makes a basket, they just grab the ball and pass it back out. It's not like a check like we used to play 3-on-3 back in the day where you check it up top. It's just constant. And yeah, give me Kyrie Irving 1-on-3 versus these guys. He would smoke this field. Kevin Durant, any of them. I'd love to see the NBA guys do this. I think that'd be a blast.
So is it like ex-college players? Is it anyone names that anybody would know, or is it just?
I didn't. So the WNBA has some players in it on the girls' side. I didn't see any players that I recognize on the guys' side, but I didn't see America play. I saw Serbia and China and a couple other teams, but yeah, just watched it in glancing. But they didn't look like amazing basketball players. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different game. I mean, we've all had our pickup games, and I remember playing in the Gus Macker tournaments back in the day. The 3-on-3 is always fun, but still find it ludicrous that an NBA player couldn't come in there, like you said, 1-on-3 and take these guys on. So Olympics again for me. I watched a little bit of the softball. All three of my daughters play fast pitch softball, so they're rooting on the USA, who took the L the other day, unfortunately, but same Chop. I just cannot get into it. Just not an Olympics guy. So it's on in the background maybe, but just haven't been as into it as I should. My patriotic side maybe is lacking a little bit there, but so be it. So let's transition to some NFL talk. Big news, obviously. We'll go back. This happened probably right after we recorded last week. We'll get to the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Don't worry. Michael Thomas going to be out a while. I don't remember if we talked about it or not, but want to hit on it again. I think, did we talk about that last week?
No, I think that happened after we.
Yeah,
after we got off the
okay.
air.
So, Chop, let's throw it to you here. It sounds like he's not going to be back till probably week 7 here, which obviously we have to talk about. What does that do for Alvin Kamara? What does that do for Latavius Murray? Guys like Traquan Smith, Adam Troutman as pass catchers, and most importantly, I know you've been pretty heated about the Jameis Winston Taysom Hill debate, and I believe you've made bold proclamations that if Jameis was the quarterback for that team, they go to the Super Bowl. So does Michael Thomas put a hit in that? You also were very adamant about the over on the Saints. I believe that was your strong play when we covered our team total. So I got to throw it to you here. A lot has changed for you, or maybe not. Maybe Michael Thomas isn't that important to that team. I mean, that seems ludicrous to me, but the floor is yours. The Saints, a lot of goings on here.
Oh, it's huge, and I'm not. I'm starting to really sweat now on all the stuff I said about the Saints, because this is not just Michael Thomas. They've lost a lot of people here in the offseason. They got guys suspended for the first 6 weeks on defense from PEDs. They got Marcus Lattimore's running around out there doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but he's in question. And then now Michael Thomas gets hit with this. This looks like maybe not even back to week 7. And then even at that point, you're coming off surgery. Like last year, he tried to come back and he wasn't even healthy. And we paid the price in DFS. Every week we try to roster him. So is he going to be like that again? And then it leads you to think, will Sean Payton panic? He doesn't have any receivers right now. Traquan Smith can't be like the number one guy, right? So he doesn't have any receivers. So is he going to panic and go, whoa, let me just play Taysom at quarterback then? I don't got to worry about it. He'll just run around. So there's a lot going on there. I'm going to stick with him and hope Thomas gets healthy. Maybe they pick somebody up that can come in and do an admirable job to bridge that gap. But it's definitely a huge hit. That's one of the best receivers in the game. And I was really fully expecting Michael Thomas to come in healthy and to get rid of that moniker that he's had, which is slant boy. I thought he could run more than just a slant this year with Jameis throwing him the ball. I thought he could run some different routes and be good, man. But now that's put on hold, so we'll see. But it's definitely a big blow to the Saints.
So who are your chips on to win this job? Because I hear differing reports. Initially, it was Jameis. He fits the offense better. Now it seems like maybe they want to go a little bit more run heavy. So that would lean more to a Taysom Hill type play. So are they both going to play? Is this still something we're just not going to know for a while? What's your lean here with the quarterback situation?
So everything I'm looking at, everything I've read, I mean, up until this injury to Michael Thomas, I had Winston as the edge here. And I think Sean Payton knows it. He's just not going to – the goal is to win a Super Bowl. You're just not going to win a Super Bowl with Taysom Hill. The upside is very limited. So you're going to have Jameis at some point. And so I think that was where – but now we ain't got no receivers. So you just don't know how he's going to start it out. He might start out those first 6 games of the year up until the bye week, first 5 games, and say, you know what? Let's mix these guys up and try to just get by those first 5 weeks. Then we get our bye week, and then maybe Michael Thomas comes back, and then we can go to Jameis. So I'm a little worried about it, but I still think just for the upside and winning the ultimate goal, he knows he has to have Jameis, not Taysom. So I still think it's Jameis. And by the way, we're not doing best ball stuff that much on here, but if you are, you could get Jameis practically at the very, very, very end of the draft. I've been getting him in the last couple of rounds of drafts, and I think that's worth a stab in the dark.
And there are some best ball drafts in the FanDuel lobby, so make sure you guys are going and checking those out. Chop, I'm going to stay with you here. Derek, we're going to get to you in a minute, but Chop, what does this do to you for Alvin Kamara? I hear some people that bump him up and stress he's got to have the ball more. He's got to be more involved as a pass catcher. We saw Taysom Hill not target him as much, obviously, as Drew Brees did. So what does that do? Does it bump him up here with this news? Do you drop him down a little bit? Does he stay the same? Where do you fall on Alvin Kamara here?
You know, he is obviously those first 5 games or how many ever Thomas is out and not doing well, he's going to, he's going to do well. He gets a big bump up. But I've always drafted and I've always looked at my seasonal stuff and said, I don't really, the first 8-9 weeks, I don't really care that much. I don't care that much. What can you do for me when it really counts, which is the playoffs and the Super Bowl of your fantasy stuff and all that. So those first 5 weeks, he's on. I would take Alvin Kamara over just about anybody in DFS. He'll be the number 1 guy, I think. But if you're talking about seasonal stuff, like I think that I still want Christian, Cook, and Henry above him, and I think Elliott's really knocking on the door to be in that conversation. So long term, I'm not as bullish on him as everybody else, but short term, like when we lay some projections out for DFS in week 1, it'd be hard to think he's not the number 1 or number 2 running back.
I believe they get Green Bay in week 1, so definitely a good matchup for him as a running back. We know that Green Bay has struggled in that department, and I didn't see any major improvements. That's going to change that. So we'll get to Green Bay here in a minute. Derek, I want to get to you on all of this. Again, Michael Thomas out till probably week 7, it sounds like. So what does that do to this offense, this team, the quarterback battle, your thoughts on some of the other ancillary pieces, whether it's Traquan, Adam Troutman is a name I kind of like. And then same question, Kamara, do you move him up? Do you move him down? Does he stay the same? Break down the Saints for us here.
Yeah, so agree with you guys. I think Thomas being out obviously hurts the Saints offense. And I don't pretend to have any insight into this situation, but Taysom Hill to start week 1 a couple weeks ago was like plus 250, and now it's even money. So the money's coming in on Taysom, or there's something that we're not seeing in the news about him, perhaps the injury to MT. I don't know. They do have a good offensive line. They may end up, leaning heavily on the running game, like you mentioned, Beer. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. And I do think Kamara's fantasy appeal certainly hinges on who starts a quarterback. If it is going to be Taysom, that does worry me. And if it's going to be Jameis, then, I'll love Kamara as long as MT is out. So agree with pretty much everything you guys said. As far as the wide receivers, I don't know. I mean, Harris, Traquan, Callaway, I'm not sure any of them are really wide receiver ones, but maybe they bring somebody in. Maybe Troutman just turns into a superstar. I remember 1 week last year, he became the chalk tight end punt of the week, and then I don't think he got a single catch.
Goose egg, that definitely was a 0. I remember that week fondly. He hurt me hard that week.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think it hurts their chances to win the division, and looks like their number's up to plus 330 on the FanDuel Sportsbook.
As far as Kamara, I moved him up. I put him now. I think he's just going to be so involved in the passing game. He has to be. And Taysom, yes, he'll be involved. Yes, if he's in there, he's going to steal goal line opportunities. But I do think Kamara may end up playing some receiver. You look at their receiving squad, Derek. You just mentioned these names. Traquan is probably ideally your 3rd receiver on a good team. So to expect him to ascend to a wide receiver 1, you can't rule out them bringing in somebody from the outside, maybe going and trading for someone on some of these loaded depth charts. But so I moved Kamara up to running back 3, McCaffrey, Cook, and then Kamara. So I moved Henry down to 4. Just think his involvement in that passing game is too good. Latavius Murray, I also moved up. I think he'll be very involved in the running game. So be interested to see how this works out, who wins this battle. But Derek, I'm kind of with you and kind of leaning with the sports book. It's always good to be on whatever side they're on. And if the odds are moving in that favor, there's a reason why. Either they're hearing something, or like you said, a lot of money's coming in on that side of things. But it makes more sense now without Michael Thomas to go with Taysom Hill, or maybe a combination of the two. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that as we go throughout training camp here. So let's talk about my Green Bay Packers. Derek, going to stay with you. Aaron Rodgers finagles this whole deal and he's going to come back for a year and maybe not next year. And you got to bring Randall Cobb back and all kind of things. But he is at training camp. So obviously that's good news for my team. Maybe they make one final run here. Maybe they can get Devontae Adams signed. I'm sure he's more willing to talk now. But I'm going to throw it to you guys first, and I'll kind of clean up here. But thoughts on this whole situation? Rodgers back in camp. What does it do for Green Bay? Have we seen a new total on wins? I know that was one that we skipped when we did our total, our team totals back in one of our first shows. So overall thoughts here on this Aaron Rodgers saga, Derek.
First of all, the shirt he wore to training camp, it was an NBA Jam style. Had Kevin from The Office on it with his attributes and his chili score, and that was great. So I need to get that shirt. Other than that, I mean, he's just throwing shots at his team, at his teammates. He came out and said Jake Kumaro was the number 2 receiver in training camp. Can't believe they cut him. And then he said, Green Bay isn't a huge vacation destination. People are coming here to play with me. I mean, he is burning bridges left and right. I don't see him staying after this year, but I think they'll still be pretty good. They're going to have a great offense at least. So, yeah, I don't know whether to like or hate Aaron Rodgers, but certainly a guy that you have to tune into. And, it's at least better for the Packers and better for, Beer, you and my wife, because she would be not too happy if Rodgers left.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of sick of this whole thing, and we've talked about this. He's kind of a diva, and very much about him, and has issues with his family, and a lot going on with him. But as a fan, obviously glad to have him back. I mean, Jordan Love, I don't think is the answer. We'll see. Maybe he gets an opportunity down the line, most likely next season if Rodgers is moved or decides to retire or host Jeopardy, whatever he's doing. But obviously glad that he's back. But yeah, some of the comments, again, it reminds me of the old man, when your grandpa gets to be of age where he's just going to say whatever the hell he wants because, I've earned that right. That was Aaron Rodgers today. Really didn't hold back and don't really understand why he wants Randall Cobb so bad. And, I know he builds this relationships with his receivers. He either loves you or he hates you. And that's how you're determined if you're getting the ball or not. Kumaro was a guy I always thought had potential, but to call him number 2 wide receiver is a bit of a stretch. And Randall Cobb, what have we seen from him over the last few years? Chop, he's down there playing with one of your squads down in Texas, and I use the term playing very lightly. Hasn't done a whole lot here. So we'll see how this plays out. But I'm hoping they go on a run. I do think they can be a contender in the NFC. We saw them right there down to the end with Tampa Bay, a few questionable calls, or maybe they're in the Super Bowl. So is he motivated enough to make this final run, or is there going to be too many distractions is my kind of issue here. So, Chop, your thoughts here on this whole Green Bay Aaron Rodgers drama?
Well, I think first off, when I said 3 days ago, when I saw this tweet and the guy said something about Aaron Rodgers won't show up until Randall Cobb is traded back, I thought it was a total joke. I thought
I did too.
And they really did go out and trade for Randall Cobb. It's crazy. But yeah, I think that what has happened here is, and what Aaron's told you himself is, he's laid it right there out. This is the last dance, just like Jordan and Pippen and those guys and their last season with the Bulls. This is the last dance him and Devontae are going to have in Green Bay. I think they're both gone after this year. Maybe they team up somewhere. And so this is it for them. This is their last ride. Now, unlike Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and those Bulls teams, like those guys were going to coast pretty good to the title. I don't think Green Bay is going to get out of the first round or so of the playoffs. Like you nailed a bunch of distractions on the head. Improved teams in the NFC. So I think they're going to struggle to even make the playoffs, but I think they probably make them, but then get bounced. But this is his last ride in Green Bay, man. One last year. This is it. I think they're both gone after this year, I believe.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, I want Adams to renegotiate and sign that long-term contract. But again, if he knows Rodgers is leaving, there's no way that he's going for that. So we'll see. An interesting topic, and we'll see what else Aaron Rodgers has to say here. If Randall Cobb has anything to offer, you still have guys like Allen Lazard, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They bring in Amari Rodgers, so there are some weapons there. But fantasy-wise, it does help. Guys like Aaron Jones. Adams, to me, is now the wide receiver one. Put him back over Tyreek Hill there. Robert Tonyan is a guy we saw score a ton of touchdowns in this offense. Even an A.J. Dillon kind of stepping into that Jamal Williams role. So hopefully you guys got some value on Green Bay if you've been drafting here in the last couple weeks, or if you put a bet in on them, you got the best odds you're going to get on that team. So I'm half excited, half ready for it to be over. Let's play football. Let's leave all this nonsense to the side, and hopefully we get that here soon. One more thing I want to talk about in the NFL, guys, is this whole vaccination thing. To me, is very interesting. And some guys saying I'm not getting the vaccine, and we don't need to debate if you are pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine. We'll leave that to some of the politicians. But the fact that they may make players wear different wristbands, and if a guy is unvaccinated, he can't come back for up to 10 days. The other guys, if they have the vaccine, they can be cleared in as fast as 2 days. I just want to open this up. Does this concern you more so in a season-long sense? In daily, we'll know who's in, who's out. But say you're doing a season-long draft, Eric, is this something that we're going to have to factor in? And some of these guys, we've heard from DeAndre Hopkins, we've heard from Leonard Fournette. There's Cole Beasley, obviously, has kind of been the poster boy for this. So is this something that we're going to have to be concerned with, factor in? How serious are you taking this when you're looking at these guys in a draft?
Yeah, I mean, the whole situation's wild. I don't know what the right answer is from the NFL's perspective, and it sounds like they're not going to have, week 19 to have makeup games. So certainly a concern for the guys that are, vocally saying, they're definitely not going to get it. Yeah, I don't really know. Luckily, DFS is the GOAT, and we don't have to worry about that as much, just playing single week contests. So my one season long league, I'm not going to put too much thought into it with my home guys, but yeah, it's definitely a concern if you're playing a lot of high stakes stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Chop, same question to you. I mean, some of the bigger name again, DeAndre Hopkins, the guy you're going to have to spend a first round pick on. Leonard Fournette is kind of in that questionable backfield, but is this concerning at all? Do you see this getting worse as we get closer to the season? Do you think the NFL will kind of come to some kind of compromise? How do you see this kind of playing out with this whole vaccinated, unvaccinated situation?
Well, I understand both sides of it. That's for sure. Like I understand both sides of it. But how I see it playing out is guys are going to get vaccinated, and I think the minute they knew that decision had to be done was the minute that the NFL said you're going to lose your game check if you cost if you can't play because of this. So that's going to make guys aren't going to want to NFL is unlike any other sport with the no guarantees in their contract, and so very few guys have that financial security to be able to do what they want. So they'll get their vaccinations. The NFL is almost forcing them to do it. So we'll see. I don't think it'll be much of an issue this year. I think by the time we get to September and roll it around, guys will be vaccinated and ready to go. So I don't think it'll be a big issue, but it's just a bizarre issue. But I understand both sides of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely see both sides. I think people should have a choice. If they want to get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. But you're right. The NFL, they almost have too much power. It's just like they can suspend anybody and put them on the commissioner's exempt list, and even when there weren't charges brought up. So the NFL just has way too much power here. So we'll see how that works out. Anything football related you guys want to bring up? Any news items you've seen you want to discuss? I saw Lamar Jackson, speaking of COVID, tested positive. There's been a few positive tests. Obviously, we know this Delta variant is kind of firing up and making things difficult again. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this doesn't affect the season and the ability to have fans in the stands and whatnot. But any other NFL news, any NFL items, things that you guys want to bring to the table here? Chop, we'll stay with you.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is have you guys seen the pictures of Ezekiel Elliott? When that man
yes.
Now I don't I fall for some of those pictures sometimes, especially the Zion in shape stuff, and then you really see him on TV and he's really just it was all angles and cameras and shadows. But Elliott looks ripped, man. You can tell this is a man who's gonna have a big year. He's ready for it.
He just moved up my list as well. And it was partly that. I mean, I like to see that lightest weight that he's been, I think, in his career. So, but I do, this offense is going to be dynamic. If Dak can stay healthy with those three wide receivers, with Zeke, with Blake Jarwin, if he's healthy, I just think the sky's the limit for this offense. And if they're one of the highest scoring teams, which if they stay healthy, I don't see how they aren't a top 3 scoring offense. Zeke's going to be a big part of that. We know he can be a weapon as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And even with Tony Pollard's role expanding and getting bigger, I think Zeke's still going to be a big part of that offense. So I agree. Derek, thoughts on Zeke? Any other NFL topics you want to bring up here?
Yeah, Zeke looks great. And isn't it wild that every single player in the NFL is in their best shape of their lives at the start of training camp? It's just weird how that works every single year. But kidding aside, he does look great. And one other note on the vaccination thing. I mean, if the NFL wants to, try to persuade these guys to get vaccinated, I think they should give them something rather than, threatening to take things away. I saw one proposal saying, if you get vaccinated, you won't get tested for marijuana this year. We know that's been a big, it's been a huge deal with NFL players, and it shouldn't be. But I think that would have been a great way to go about it. I don't know, the ramifications of it and all that, but I thought that was a good idea. And then maybe touch on Desean Watson. He's in camp. NFL hasn't taken any restrictions on him just yet. His hearing's not until February. So do we expect him to suit up at all? Probably not for the Texans, but what are his chances of playing football this year?
I can't see him escaping the commissioner's list on this one. I mean, there's 22 cases, I think, pending against him. So even if he were to, get scot-free away from all of that, Roger Goodell's still going to drop the hammer. I think a 8-game at the minimum is what he would see. So I'm hearing a lot of whispers about the Philadelphia Eagles possibly making a deal here, have a ton of draft equity. I believe they have 3 first-round picks. Obviously, if Jalen Hurts, you could flip over to Houston. So I don't know. It's an interesting case because, some of these drafts that are going on, you can get him very late. You may be burning a roster spot. You also may be getting a top 3 to 5 quarterback, in the 20s at the position. So I personally don't think he escapes this and plays. But Chop, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, there's so many things working against him that I don't think I don't think he wants to play in Houston anymore. I mean, he says that, but you would think that this would kind of change him. Like, man, maybe I should just play wherever. So you got that. Like, he doesn't ever want to play in Houston. They're going to have to trade him for him to even play this year. And then you've got this 23 cases against him, and like that's overwhelming, man. 23. So I don't think he plays this year. That's kind of like if I'm the last round here of my drafts or whatever, I'd rather take a stab on a guy like Jameis, who's like 50-50 to be in a really good offense with a good head coach and stuff, rather than the guy that I just really don't think plays this year at all.
And he reports to camp, so he avoids the $50,000 a day. And they have him just standing around. I saw reports that he was just standing on the defensive side of the ball, and he took a wheel route as a receiver. So they don't even have him playing quarterback. It's just a weird. Is that the worst run organization in sports? Let's stay here with the Texans because they got to be close. And Chop, I'm going to stay with you. It's in your neck of the woods. I know you're a Cowboys fan, but we're going to pin this on you. Are the Houston Texans the worst franchise in professional sports? At worst run, I'll say. If not, top 3, top 5, where do they fall in the hierarchy?
And I'm sure there was some others around all of sports that were really bad, but as far as the NFL, by far, you got to think that at one point they had, some really good players, some really good opportunities, and they stuck with their head coach, man, even though we made fun of him week after week for the bad decisions he was making year after year. They stuck with Bill O'Brien, Bob, out there for all that time when he ran this team. Stuck with him. Like everything they've done, yeah, just in the NFL for sure, the poorest run organization maybe in the history of the game.
Wow. I mean,
they wasted prime J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. Think about all that talent they had, man.
Don't forget about the team in the area that I live in the same situation, Chop. I'm a Packers fan, but I now live in Michigan, the Ann Arbor area. Detroit Lions are right down the road. That's a pretty poorly run franchise over a ton of years that wasted least talents like Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, and the list goes on and on. So I think they could stake claim to that. No offense to all my Lions buddies out there listening. I don't love me any Lions. So they are one of the organizations for sure that's just been terrible. So Derek, thoughts here on the Texans? They got to be in the running at worst of worst sports run organizations.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like Chad mentioned, when Bill O'Brien was a head coach, he was out there quoting like the numbers when you run the ball 30 plus times a game. And so he was saying they need to run the ball 30 plus times no matter the score. And he just doesn't understand that the reason why teams are winning when they're running the ball that much is because they're milking the clock late in the game, not because one necessarily leads to the other. But yeah, bad run organization. Same with the Lions. My Jags on the up and up though. So.
There you go. We'll see.
Time out. They just hired Urban Meyer.
Yeah, that's the worries. Urban going to drive that thing right back into the ground. So
Urban and Tebow, let's go.
Oh boy, is he going to make the roster, Derek? And is he going to be a Taysom Hill light? Because he's not going to be a tight end. Is he going to keep him on that roster and play him at quarterback?
I mean, so our boy Cam just bought a Tebow jersey. So I'm hoping that he makes a roster just for Cam so we can keep that jersey.
I knowing Urban Meyer, just his history, I bet you this guy finds his way onto the roster, and it's just a thorn in the side. If you're a Trevor Lawrence guy and you're torn between two guys in the draft, that's something you're going to want to keep an eye on, because Tebow will steal some of them goal line opportunities, even from James Robinson and Travis Etienne. So we'll see. I think it's a long shot, but nothing goes beyond Urban Meyer, I suppose. So some golf questions in the chat, Derek. We kind of already hit on it, but Bryson Anderson was asking about the Kim M narrative, which I hadn't heard. That's intriguing to me. I mean, what more motivation you had than to get out of basically a 2-year sentence than to go out and win this thing? So just want to recap that for Bryson. Your thoughts on those guys. Does that make you want to play them in DFS? Does that mean everybody's going to play them because they know about this narrative if they're too highly owned? So just recap that real quick. We also had Dustin Schmidt asking you about the golf. So people fired up about this golf tonight.
Yeah, I am definitely a sucker for a good narrative. So I'll be playing both of them. But the problem is, so will everyone else. They are going to be more popular than they probably should be just based on, their talent levels. But yeah, I mean, they even skipped the Open Championship to get ready for this. So nobody ever skips majors, and they both skipped it just to get ready for this. If you don't want to play them a high ownership, you can bet them to win medals over on the DraftKings Sportsbook. I think Siwoo is 18-1, so you get bronze, silver, gold, and then Sungjae's plus 750. So I think that's probably the better route to go if you don't want to worry about ownership.
There you go. So we're almost out of time here. We're trying to keep these to about 45 minutes here until we get more into the heart of football season. Kind of a slow day here. Some baseball, some golf going on, but Derek wants to bring a new segment to the table. So we always love talking things other than sports. So Derek, I'm going to turn things over to you here, buddy. What do you got?
All right. So we are the OGs. We've been around forever. We've been around the block. So I thought it'd be fun each week to talk about something that we miss about the old days, whether it's personal life, sports, DFS. So yeah, I thought that would be fun. So let's kick it off. All
right. Chop, you got some? You want to get started here?
Oh, I got something I could tell you that I miss. I don't drink that much anymore because I miss being able to drink and then wake up the next day and actually, bounce back pretty strong, pretty hard. If I drink too much now at night, and it'll just ruin my next day, the whole day. The whole day will be ruined, and there's so much pain, waking up in so much pain. I already wake up in pain just getting older. Things just hurt. So I just can't drink anymore. I miss being able to drink and then wake up the next day and feel good. I don't feel good anymore.
I can vouch for that. When you're younger, you're in your 20s, you could day by day, it doesn't matter. You could party 3-4 nights in a row. Now, one night, it's rough going. We have our cornhole nights here, and it can be tough.
Being in my 20s, I was able to go out. You stay out to the bars close 2 in the morning, get in at 3 in the morning. I had my alarm clock set to go off at 6 to get up and go to work. 3 hours of sleep, no big deal, man. No big deal. I splashed some water on my face and ready to go now. But I got to sit in the bathtub all morning long just to kind of shake it off.
So what's the minimum hours of sleep required? Because I was the same. If I got 4 to 5, I was generally like, I'm good. I feel great. Now as I get older, I'm finding I need more and more sleep. So, Chop, what's that magic number on the sleep? Just 7 hours, 8 hours? Where are you at?
Well, the problem with getting older is slowly but surely your level of sleep for me has it's taken a turn for the worse. Like as I get older, I just don't get as much sleep. So I'm already struggling in that department. And then now you add in some alcohol, and the alcohol will knock you out at first for about an hour or two, if you drink enough, but eventually you'll wake up and feel bad. So, I mean, yeah, it's just about time period. It's not even about sleep. It's just about time. It just takes so much time to recover the next day. So from too much drinking. So I just can't do it. It's not worth it.
Derek, you're not quite as old as Chop and I, so you still have some young man in you. Is it same for you? Are the late night drinking back-to-back nights, are those in the past for you?
Man, I might be younger in age, but I am the oldest man ever when it comes to alcohol. 4 beers and I get a headache even before I go to bed. It's terrible. So I just have like a bottle of ibuprofen with me at all times in case I'm drinking, especially on the golf course. I mean, I love drinking for sure, but yeah, I get some bad hangovers. So I definitely think that's a great answer, John.
Pro tip: take the ibuprofen or the Tylenol, whatever, before you go to bed. Don't wait to wake up with the headache and the hangover. Get out ahead of it. Take it in advance. So
set my alarm every 4 hours for it.
There you go. Whatever it takes. So mine, you know what I miss? I'm going to go pretty far back here. And some of the younger people are like, what the hell is that? I miss the good old video store, the Blockbuster, where you go in and there is no Netflix and I can't just hit buttons on my TV. If I want to watch a movie, I either watch the crap that I have on my shelf that I've seen 15, 20 times. I hope there's something good on cable, or I go to my local video store and I see all the new releases and hope to God that the new release, even though they have 50 cases on the wall, that there's one hidden behind there that's available. So, renting video games, renting movies, renting DVDs, just the atmosphere of a video store. I definitely miss that. So yes, it's nice. It's easy now. Things are a click away when you want to watch something with Disney Plus and all these other things, but just the good old video store I miss. So you guys got any video store memories? Or Chop probably worked at a video store.
I didn't. I wish I was good enough to get a job at Blockbuster, but listen, Dean's rolling over in his grave. I get it. He doesn't want to leave the house to get a movie, but boy, when Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, all those video stores were at their peak, that was an event on Friday night. That was you looked forward to it the whole week. Man, we're going to get a new movie. It's going to be a new release. We're going to go pick it out. It's just that was an event for Friday night. And now everything's just too easy. Just streaming, and it's no good.
You know what the best feeling in the world was?
Derek, any thoughts here on the video store?
Yeah, best feeling in the world. Your movie, there's none left. You go up, you say, oh, can you check the little bucket, the return bucket for me? And they have the movie that you're looking for. Oh, man, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, that was rare. That was like a 1 in 100 type thing. Usually then nothing was good in that bucket. It was all the crap you didn't want. But yes, you hit gold when you hit that. So, Derek, what's your what do you miss from the old days?
All right, so I went DFS related, and shout out to our sponsor FanDuel, but I really miss Draft Street, man. That was my jam back in the day. They had the super sharp pricing. I remember one week the Jaguars defense was $36, and the salary cap was $50,000. So that was awesome. I love the fact that they had the scoring on NBA. You got minus points for missed shots, so you couldn't just play Kobe and Shaq and get away with that. I love that. And it also brought me into ROTOGRINDERS. I got to write their, the blog promotion. You wrote like 4 blogs, you got $50 in draft street credits. So, yeah, that's going to be my, what I miss about the DFS side.
Which is funny because so back in the day, we're talking 2009, 2010. Like I remember seeing the name HeadChopper and all these little lobbies I was in and FanDuel and all these sites that don't really exist anymore. And we'd butt heads here and there, but I really remember the name Notorious from Draft Street. You know, that's where you kind of built your brand, your name. You crushed it over there. You were pretty much like the Draft Street expert it was a fun site, no doubt. Just a different game. That the tight salaries, like you said, it was very difficult to build a lineup over there. You know, the early days, it was pretty easy to make a good lineup. Draft Street made it very tough. So again, FanDuel, we thank you for sponsoring the show, but we're gonna pour one out here for Draft Street. So in some of the other sites, Draft Zone, you know, the Gary Payton debacle, there's been so many that have come and gone, but that Draft Street was a good time. So, all right, that's going to do it for this week. You guys got any final thoughts here for the people before we get out of here? Derek, let's stay with you.
If you guys are looking for some content on a Wednesday, Andy Means wrote a great piece on the draft, on some of his favorite bets for the draft. And then SBK, who hopped on the NBA show with us, he is trying PJ DFS for the first time ever, and he's writing a series about it. It's called I Hope I Don't Suck. So I'm excited for that. He wrote his first piece for the Olympics this week, if you want to check that out.
Love it. Yes, NBA draft, something we were hoping to talk about, just didn't get to it here this week, but we'll be able to recap it next week. Can kind of take a look at some of the picks. Chop, who are you hoping for your Rockets there? Is this Jalen Green the pick?
I'm hoping that either Detroit screws up and lets Cunningham go by, but if not, and everything holds true, I'd love Jalen Green. Yeah.
There you go. All right, Chop. Final thoughts for the people here for the week.
Yeah. Final thought would be that we're just ironing this out, man. So check us out on the social media, man. Get your questions in. You can get a question in on Twitter, in Discord, on RG. Anything you want us to talk about, you hit me up or Beer or Noto, and we'll talk about it, man. We're just killing some summertime here for you guys.
Yeah, and any topic, and there's no topic that's off limits. So life, strategy, sports, whatever you want to talk about it, we will bring it up on the show. So don't be afraid. There's no such thing as a stupid question. We'll answer anything. We love talking to the people. The reason we're here is for you guys. So let's make this show more interactive. Want to say thank you again to the fine folks over at FanDuel. Make sure you go and support them for supporting the show. Want to say thank you to all of you for listening, tuning in, joining us. We'll be here each and every Wednesday live all throughout the NFL season, and leading up to NFL, we'll start getting more into rankings, things like that as we go along. For Notorious, for HeadChopper, I am Beer saying salut. We are the DFS OGs. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.